So Ethan ruined my talk last night, guys.
You're welcome.
So I had to reread it. So thanks a lot, friend. Whatever I'll rise above is sabotage. But no. Normally retreat talks do give a very similar sound, so I'm hoping this will be a little bit different for you guys. Retreats are something that I love. Didn't always. It took to my junior year to actually like going on retreat. My youth ministry tried to kill us our freshman year with the hype from hell. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is what retreat is like. No. Because we went on a death march on a mountain, straight up, on no trail. We forged our own trail because he thought it's like we forged our own trail on a faith journey. What it is a lot of bumps, bruises, and scratches and horribleness, and all of us looking at Larry going, never again. So it took a couple years for him to convince me to even come to the youth group, to come and be a part of retreats. But the moment that I went on my first spring retreat, my first real spring retreat, my junior year, it became safe haven for me. And retreats have been these safe havens for youth ministries for decades. Life Team's been around, the curriculum that we use has been around for over 30 years. Youth ministry itself is actually a relatively new concept. It's probably only been a thing for 40 in most parishes. And I know for me, retreat is something that was and is the time of year I look forward to most. When I was a teen, it was a time for me to get away from my family, except for him because he came with me, and away from all of the distractions and craziness, and actually be with the people that I knew loved and cared about me, the adults that listened to me. It was a time where I could just escape. Then as a core team member, I got to be the young adult who was leading small groups and giving talks and in the silly skits and all the things that I watched my adults do. Now I'm a youth minister, and I get to put them on for all of you so that you can have these experiences. And a few years ago, we had this crazy thing called a pandemic happen. And we were on retreat when lockdown happened. Because I was like, fine, COVID, whatever. And we went on retreat anyway. And then we came home to no school, no work, no mass, no nothing. All of a sudden. So we were on permanent retreat for like 6 months before we could even be a road group again. And even though all those things happened, we've had 100 retreats over all of the things. It is different for every person why retreat can be a kind of safe and warm place. Some people absolutely did not want to be here this weekend. Forced in the car by force to be on here. Signed up, didn't even know you were coming. I've had teens that literally didn't know they were going on retreat until their mom was like, yeah, let's get in the car, go get some food. And then they dropped them off with me before retreat. They're like, why do I have a suitcase? I don't know. Drop me off for orders. I don't know. Like, they just left them with me. Had no idea that they were coming. I knew for months that they were coming. They had no idea. But by the end of the weekend, regardless of whether you wanted to be here or not, you have moments, whether individually or as a group, where God interacts with you. But why? Why is retreat? It seems easier for you to express your faith and be, with God on retreat. Well, one, the general reason that I think after 16 years of being a leader on these retreats is you don't have any excuses that you have to put on. Like, the cool kids are in youth group and at retreat are the ones that are really into it and like doing retreat stuff. So you don't have to try and be cool. You're okay. You don't have to be you don't have to hide your faith. You don't have to hide who you are. We want to see you. There's no distractions. There's no homework. There's no parents. We take, your phones are basically, there's no distractions. There's no outside world. The internet's garbage here. Service is spotty. You literally have just this moment. And it's a time for you to pray, share, listen, and open up to people who are here for those reasons too. It can be comfortable. We're in the woods with your friends, and every adult in this room, I did not force them to be here. They are here because they love you and they want it. We get to experience God's love and mercy, and we are growing in community, and we get to just retreat from stress of what's waiting for us back home. Retreats are our time to walk away from junk that's in our lives. And we can just feel God's love and presence so intensely. I can kind of get when the last day's a little sad. Even if you didn't want to be here and you're ready to go home, to see your family, to have the internet back, to really be able to just catch up on all the March Madness scores, to watch whatever shows you missed, to hang out with boyfriends or girlfriends or friends or whatever, ready to go home. There's still a part of you, and there's part of me, even though this is a stressful, long weekend, and I miss my family really bad. My husband's not here with me. My kids aren't here with me. I'm ready to see them. But there's part of me that's going to miss this weekend. Miss being here without distractions, with all of you. Because your only responsibility this weekend was to trust us and trust God. The purpose of retreats is to refresh. We are reminded as youth ministers constantly, you need to make sure you don't burn out, guys. You're ministering constantly, don't burn out. So our diocese offers retreats for us. Make sure that we are not burning out. So that we can refocus on the greater purpose. Because we have a mission in life to take these big experiences that we might have on retreat, whether you had one this weekend or not, or you've had one in the past, or you might have one in the future. We've all had these moments of God experiences in our life. And we're supposed to take those out to the world and use them. It should happen every day. You shouldn't have to be here to experience God. It should be happening every day. And this mission is twofold. Part one, you develop and identify your support system. And then part two, once you have that support system, you become a witness to the faith. So that you can evangelize to those most in need of Jesus' love. So let's break this down. A personal relationship with God and confidence in knowing our purpose, as well as praying, loving, and worshiping with the church community are the pillars of our support system. So let's take each one of those down, one by one. The first pillar of your support system is a personal relationship with God. How many times have you heard a core team member, youth minister, parent, confirmation sponsor, DR, whoever, teacher, tell you that you need to have a personal relationship with God? Why do you need a relationship with God? We've told you 100 times. Why? Cool, I'm going to tell you again. Because we are up here every single talk. Every retreat, every life night, every small group. We beat you over the head with this thought because it's important, not because we just like to hear the sound of our voice. You have to develop a personal relationship with God And telling you this over and over again is important. This is the key to life. You have to be available for prayer, because prayer is how you have a conversation with God, with the saints, with the people who will help you to know God and to develop a relationship. If you want to get to know somebody, but all you did was spend 5 minutes occasionally asking them for something, how well do you think you would know them? How well would they really know you? Would you spend time with that person? No. Walk away from it every single time. Like, all they do, they come up for 5 minutes and just talk my ear off about them. They never ask me how I am. Last night, Deacon Mike talked about his best friend and how that relationship is how we're supposed to be with God. It's supposed to be this give and take. We have to dedicate real time. And that can look different for everyone. We talked about tons of different prayer styles. That can be sitting in silence for 15 to 20 minutes every day, just listening for Christ. It can be going on a hike, or riding a bike, going fishing. Just spending time in nature, appreciating all of the things that are good, true, and beautiful. It is attending Mass weekly, making regular confessions, and then enriching that with daily Mass and adoration. Taking the different prayer styles and finding the one that works for you. And Andrew talked about yesterday how necessary the sacrament of reconciliation is for our spiritual lives. And I am challenging you to do more than what you are doing today. If you are spending that 5 minutes and that's it, then make it 10. If you're going to confession once a year, make it twice a year. It doesn't have to be this massive, I'm going to become and go live in a convent or monastery tomorrow. Because one, that's not logical or logistically capable of doing your teenagers. Don't do that. If that's where you go, cool. But you're not going to massively be able to change your life tomorrow or today. But incrementally, every single day, add something. Add a minute to your prayer routine. Say one extra Hail Mary. Say, if you don't already do it, pray grace before meals every meal. Sit quietly with God for 10 minutes. Listen to a song that inspires you. Journal. Do something, anything, to make this friendship make sense. Because he is constantly asking you to be with him. He is right there, wanting you with him. You just have to talk to him. He's right here, by your side, every day. Once you've achieved a regular personal relationship with our Lord, the next pillar that comes is knowing your purpose. Because to know your purpose, you need to be able to talk to God. And you don't have to have your whole life planned out today. I've been where you've been. And I've worked with teenagers for the last 15, 16 years. And I know more now than ever. You have extreme pressure on you to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life. I was watching the news the other day, and they are now pushing through North Carolina systems that 7th graders need to figure out what their career is going to be, so that their schooling from that point on will be focused on that career. At 7th grade, my biggest struggle in life was which of my friends liked a member of Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC. That was what our conversation was. I was not planning my life at 13. I wasn't planning my weekend at 13. I didn't know what I was going to have for lunch that day. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I think over the time between starting college and school in general and starting college, I changed what I'm going to be when I grow grow up from like, I'm gonna be a princess to like, I'm gonna be a science person, like in varying fields of different science. And then none of that happened at all. No science for me. I took my one biology in college and got out of it. This mindset of you have to go to this elementary school so you can go to this middle school so you can go to this high school so that you can then do this club, this sport, this extracurricular activity so that every moment of your life is perfectly scheduled to go to the right college to get the right job. And then that will make you happy. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. You can do everything right and it not make you happy. Because the only thing that makes you happy is fulfilling the purpose that God has for you. And the only way to know what that is to have a relationship with Him, to be able to hear Him. And this is the hardest of the pillars because you have to release control. You have to trust that God's got you. If you know me, I'm a control freak. Ask any of the people I know who work with me. I have plans A through Z in case something happens to manage everything. And that's great for things like this weekend, to make retreats happen, to make your life nights happen, to run smoothly. But my life is anything but well organized and well planned, and I have very little control in it. But I had a plan. I had that plan. I was going to graduate high school. I was going to go to college, specifically a Catholic university. I was going to graduate. This would become the best youth minister I could possibly be of all time. They were going to make statues of Paul Smiles. And then I was going to find this husband. I was going to make all these beautiful babies. And I was going to live happily ever after, all by 25. That was my plan. I had this down. And I thought this was God's plan. Because when I was a teenager, I was sitting right where you are, in adoration, and God looked at me and said, you are going to do this. You are going to be a minister. You're going to serve me in this way. I was like, cool, God, I can do that. But then life happened. I did graduate high school. I did it. 93rd in my class. Like 200 people. I graduated high school, but my family couldn't afford for both Ethan and I to go to college if I went to a private university. It was one of us or neither of us. So I chose to go to a religion. I went to UNCG. It was great. I studied religion. That's not theology. Not even close. Especially UNCG. But I did it. I graduated from college, guys. I did that. Cool. I did it in 4 years. Way
to flex.
Thanks. But I also did not become a youth minister right out of college. It took me a very long time to find what I was supposed to be doing. So I did a lot of odd jobs because, money's a thing you have to have, apparently. So I sold knives. Cacao. I worked in a bookstore. I was a 911 and police dispatcher on the night shift, on the weekends. I worked in a pain clinic. I was a nanny. Did some of those things at the same time. And all of that culminated in this chance to be the youth minister at the church where I was a core team member, where I'd gone to youth group. Everyone knew me. I was the second in command. I was the youth minister's shadow governor, as Ethan is not.
We're the regular governor.
That's true. I was in charge. Really just got paid for it. I was in charge. And I thought I was going to get it. They made me the interim. They were like, well, we're looking for this other person. Do you want to take it? Absolutely. I'm going to be that other person anyway, so sure. Just go set my office up. And then I didn't get it. They were like, nah, we're going to go with this other girl. And I was devastated. My whole life I had built to this job. specifically. I didn't plan to leave my hometown. I was like, this is going to be my job. These are the teens I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve their kids eventually. Like, this is my life. And then that didn't happen. But I did get a chance to meet ministry because then I came here. And it changed my whole life. I finally got my husband, but at 32, not 25. And though my husband has these two beautiful children that become me mom, I struggle with infertility and may never have children. And my personal relationship with God has struggled for the last 5 years because this is hard. We've talked about it. Being faithful is hard because you trust that God's got you and things don't work out. Your plan doesn't work out, but his is. Because if I didn't have that relationship with him, every stress, every panic attack, every bout of depression, I would have failed. I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't have the community around me that I have. And that's the last pillar. Life's hard. And you have to have a support system. And God gave us the church. Because there's a lot to work through and process and to develop and to trust. And so he made it so that we don't have to do it alone. He established the church because we need it. We need it because our faith takes a lot on us personally, and he also knew we needed a bigger voice to be a movement. There is power in our voices individually to be witnesses on our own, but when we are a collective, that is when things get done. People change hearts. It's not good for man to be alone. It is right in the first book of the Bible. He knew we needed each other. And we needed structure. The church's structure, it gives us the tools that we need. Like I said, I have two monsters who run around. They're almost 5 and 6. And without structure, oh Lord. But they have some, and they need the people in their lives that give them this structure, this learning, this love. They need their grandparents. They need not just me and my husband, but grandparents, aunts, and uncles, cousins, friends, teachers. And that's how our heavenly family is. Like, we are all connected and all in community. And once we have this real support system strengthening us, then we can be true evangelists. I've been tasked with the discipleship program at Cathedral because I am passionate about us being disciples of Christ. And in the South, being an evangelist is kind of a bad word, right? You think of the preachers on the street corner yelling at you, or being asked, have you been saved? And then being looked at like when you say you're Catholic, you're like, you're not a real Christian. And it hurts. Because you're trying to simply witness, because that's what an evangelist is. You are a witness to God's love. It is not enough to be a good person. It is not enough to just talk to Jesus, about Jesus, with your Catholic friends. It is not enough to be faithful on Sunday and forget him Monday through Saturday. It is every single day. You have to witness to the love of Christ. Will you succeed every day? Probably not. Should you try every day? Absolutely. Be authentic and be honest. We're not asking you to stand up on a soapbox or to knock on doors and be like, have you heard about Jesus? We're challenging you to witness to the faith and to bring people closer to him just by living your life. And being honest, when someone asks you tomorrow at school, hey, what'd you do this weekend? You can say, I went on a retreat and this is what happened. Don't just be like, or when someone asks you, hey, how was your retreat this weekend? Don't go, oh, it was fun. Or, it was so good. Like, tell them what happened. Good, bad, all of it. Or when someone asks you a question about the faith, try and answer it. You're here. We've taught you stuff. Because God's going to give you the words that that person needs to hear, and the Holy Spirit is going to take care of what that person needs to hear in that moment. You don't have to be perfect. He's going to equip you. He's going to take care of you. Stand up and be bold. Invite your friends to youth group. Invite them to church. Get outside of your comfort zone. Because we're called to be disciples. And that word gets used, but the reality of what a disciple is, we forget. Read scripture. Read Acts. Read what happened after the ascension of Christ. Persecution. Martyrdom. Real life, death, and destruction, because you decided to say, yes, I'm going to follow Christ, and I'm going to tell other people about it. Our disciples, the apostles, they died. They were either put in exile and died alone, or they were murdered because they believed. And we're not asked to die. I mean, some people do. We have recent martyrs. We're asking you guys to pray before your meals and to not be afraid to talk about being faithful to God. And you're not going to be massively persecuted. You're probably not going to get stoned to death by saying, I love Jesus, or I went on a Catholic youth retreat this weekend. They're going to be like, oh, cool. So, you want to get lunch? Like, that's what's going to happen. Be an example of what it means to be a disciple. Because right now, your parents may have made you to be here. They may make you go to Mass every week. They may make you go to youth group every week. But eventually, those of you who are confirmed or about to be confirmed, you are saying yes to the Lord, to yes to being a disciple, yes to all of it. Which means you are eventually going to be responsible for your faith. There's not going to be anybody waking you up to go to Mass, or to go to a young adult event, or to CCM, or to a Bible study, or anything. It's going to be on you. I'm 35 years old, and it is a struggle every Sunday morning to get up and go to church. Because I have to fight 2 children into appropriate clothes for church, try and get them in the car, to get there, for them to scream the whole time that we're there. When are we leaving? Why are we here? Can I have a phone? No. Pay attention to Jesus. It's a struggle. Every day. It's a struggle to pray. It's a struggle to do these things, but it is something that I do because I chose to do it. I said yes at 15 to God when I got confirmed. And then I said it again when I really said yes to God. Because I got confirmed was what I was supposed to do. But then I made God my life, literally. God's going to get you through the highs and the lows of life, but you're going to suffer. The disciples suffered. Christ really suffered. And it's going to be hard. Life is hard. Life is hard. That's where that video left off before it cut off. But I wanted to finish off with the final statement. Life's going to be hard. But we have the tools to be persistent. God gave us the church. God gave us a community, and he gave us a support system so that we can be bold, be persistent, be honest, and keep moving forward
every day. I pray that these videos for the retreat have been helpful. I pray that each teen that was with us got something out of it. And I pray that all of you who weren't able to be there with us can hear that though there is suffering in the world and in our lives, we can persevere through it and we can gain control in small ways because we can trust in God, that He has our best interest and He loves us unconditionally. So keep moving forward. Keep being the amazing and unique individuals that God created you to be. Blessings to all of you.